At the state capitol, talking with suburban state senator Don DeWitte. Senator, which often happens during late in a spring legislative session, there is a controversial bill. Saying it rapidly gets through the legislative process may be an understatement, and something similar to that situation just recently occurred, but this time it deals with elections and people being able to vote for the candidate of their choice.
In probably one of the most egregious overreaches of political power that I've seen in the 6.5 years I've been here in Springfield, the Democrats did attempt to basically stifle voters' choice when it comes to electing the people they deem best to serve in the legislature. This bill, which would have, in the middle of an election cycle, this legislation that would have banned the slating of candidates selected by local political parties only for the legislature, is just another example of the Democrats' need to absolutely maintain their power base. They will stop at nothing to ensure that their candidates are the least challenged candidates in this entire election cycle. This is just another example of the multiple attempts Democrats have taken to stifle people's civil rights in this state with redistricting maps that were deemed unconstitutional, the Parental Notification Act, which still many people find to be totally unconstitutional, taking rights from adults, crisis pregnancy centers that the Attorney General was required to back off of in a settlement based on a challenge to that, the Safety Act, which has had numerous challenges, and of course the assault weapons ban, which is currently in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. This legislation to ban voters' choices in elections is another example of Democrats walking all over civil rights of Illinois residents.
There's a media report out there saying that this rapidly approved and signed election law will impact as many as 78 legislative races.
That's the perception at this point. I have not sat down and looked at a list of all of those races, but certainly there is one specific race in the Metro East area that they are working very hard to protect just this one House member. And again, they will fight as hard to protect one as they will fight to protect 78. The ruling by the circuit judge here in Springfield yesterday was a welcome ruling. Everyone anticipated it would probably come down the pike. She denied the temporary restraining order a week ago, choosing to deal with the motion that had been filed to declare this legislation unconstitutional, and she granted that she granted that injunction yesterday here in Springfield, and we believe it will stand on appeal.
What about the whole aspect of transparency, being upfront, considering the rapid progress that this particular bill made?
Sure. This bill went through the legislative process. They bent every rule. They took advantage of every loophole in the legislative rules process. This was a proverbial amendment to a shell bill, the original shell bill having absolutely nothing to do with elections. They waived notice so that it would not have to go through the normal public announcement and hearing process. It went from committee to the floor in less than 24 hours, and the ink was not even dry on the legislation signed by the House Speaker and President, and it was already sitting on Pritzker's desk. It was incredible how quickly this sailed through the process. And again, just another example of Democrats removing all barriers to ensure that their processes and their wishes are pushed through this legislative process in Springfield, again, denying voter choice in our elections across the state within the legislature.